online on Mondays. So.
Okay, we're streaming to YouTube. You haven't joined yet.
I'm still trying to figure out where I'm at.
Still sending registration. Going off of the.
It says this webinar is ended. And I try to register for it. That's the one off of the agenda. I go to my department, go to live events. Wonder if to change the
One of them is from Jeff Franklin and one of them is from Nancy.
Rigby and join webinar.
I told you so, I'm not sure. Which is
Yeah.
I didn't click on or either one.
Okay. So let me send this link to everybody real quick. Oh, copy. Email. Okay. Reply.
You guys know who wrote which one? There's no names on
Yeah, Nancy wrote the one in paragraphs.
Yeah.
Jeff wrote the other one.
them. Okay. Thank you.
I think that's your shirt.
Oh, you can send this out to bring big companies folks.
You don't want to be a panelist?
I'm emailing everybody the correct link to the Zoom
Okay.
because it was not linked correct on the agenda. It's kind of a trend we got going on today.
I'm sorry. Has to be like everybody. Folks. I'm making sure. I
don't have a link that says to join. It's fabulous. I wonder if I ignore it, it goes away.
Email me who you need to have.
You're going to join as panelist?
Okay. Both been upgraded to panelists.
Right. So, oh, maybe Jeff has made it onto the Zoom because his name shows up right now, so. Right? So it should be Jeff, Nancy, Sage, if he's on tonight, I don't know. Right? We still need one more.
Somebody's on the panels. Oh, you had 9.
I know I said I need one more. 5. So hang on. Guess we're gonna have to start calling first to remind them.
We have 5.
We have Jeff and we have the 3.
Never mind. Only Jefferson. Hold, I got somebody else just joined.
Yeah.
Nancy just joined.
Okay.
All right, I just promoted her to panelist.
Okay. Well, again, the idea, we were gonna start with electing a chair and vice chair, and I don't know, do we put that off another 2 weeks? I don't know how urgent that is anyway. There we go. It's funny, we ran into Steve too earlier, well, last week, and so Steve knew about this meeting too. I don't know where he is. Good, that's fine for
Anybody
Ken.
else going to say, I don't know, if something needs to be done tonight.
Well, he's running the truck. There's not a chair and a vice chair.
Me, I'm running
Got it.
it.
For your guys' like sermons, we can have the.
Didn't really do anything.
He just.
It's, they're not really, we're a committee working on a plan, not here to vote.
I'm with you, Mel. I'm with you. I'm not trying to bust your balls.
Yeah, it sounds like you are, so.
It just didn't make sense.
I tend to bet during the good weather, summer months, we probably won't do a home farm.
Yeah. Probably so.
Summer's hard.
Yep, it is. It is,
If we have a summer, the only weather's been going.
right?
We already had our spring, right?
Registry.
You're right, right.
We had sunscreen, we didn't have any sunscreen yet.
Go out there and make all peach blossoms and 3 days later, they're all frozen solid.
Yeah, God dang it. Crazy, isn't it? Okay. So then next we were gonna. So we'll put that up for the next 2 weeks and see what happens interim. I'll have staff reach out and make phone calls to see, remind folks about the meeting in 2 weeks. And then we'll just be ready for that vote, whether or not whoever shows up, so. We'll emphasize that that's gonna occur that time.
Have people already been nominated and things like that for that?
No. No, this is our 3rd meeting of this committee, so. So we've been working on this, the guiding principles for the Greater Rigby area plan. We sent out comments to everybody to review, and comment on. We were just gonna kind of go over that tonight, some of the comments that we received, and then provide opportunity for each of you to add to that. And so Thane is the guy working on this portion of some of this, and so I think he was gonna start that discussion or put it up on the screen.
All right. I'll put it right now.
Are there copies available or are they all gonna be on the screen?
I'll be on the screen.
Okay.
There we go.
That's up there.
Yeah,
That's scary.
right. There's Steve. So, Steve, welcome.
I don't want to sit over there.
I understand. So Steve was the ninth member that we'd been waiting for to be available, and he was available tonight, so appreciate it.
Hey, Milt, I'm sorry, we talked about this the last time I was in your office a little bit, so I just, that's the first time I heard about it. Could you bring me up to speed on where we are, or could somebody bring me up to speed? I don't know how far the committee has gone in.
We're just barely, we've had a couple meetings. The first time was mostly informational, getting to know each other a little bit and learning a little bit about planning and zoning and answering some of the committee's questions on planning and zoning and stuff. Last week, we started this discussion. We talked about the overview of the Rigby area plan and what it's gonna look like, and we started a discussion on some guiding principles. And we kind of went through this slide presentation last time we met 2 weeks ago and asked them to put some notes together on this. A couple of them put some notes together and sent it in, and I figured we would just kind of go through these questions again and have their input on that discussion.
Okay, and I know why you're up there, but I don't, and the rest of the people that are up there, how did they?
They were appointed by the Planning and Zoning Commission
Okay,
the Planning and Zoning Commission formed a small committee of 9 people to work on the greater Rigby area plan.
It was solicited by application for those that wanted to participate.
okay, I didn't hear anything about, but that's probably my fault because I wasn't paying attention. I don't know, how was that put out, that was gonna happen?
How else? Facebook.
Okay, I don't have Facebook, so, okay,
I don't remember if we talked about it in the paper or not, but
okay.
most people don't
It may
read
have been
that.
on the county side.
Yeah, it was probably.
I
on
would
the
have,
county
would have
website.
thought it would have been, but I just didn't see it, but that's okay, all right,
Yep.
so I'm up to speed, thanks, I
Yep.
apologize.
I got it off the county side, I don't have Facebook either, so it's.
Yeah,
Facebook's for old people now, I guess, that's what I hear.
it is. It is. If we start seeing us on TikTok, then you'll know.
Yeah,
The younger generation.
all right, I'll shut up, sorry.
Put me out in pasture. Kids won't know what to do.
All right, let's go ahead and go through some of this.
Okay. So this is the code for us to try it.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is if you QR code that, then you can type in your messages and it will go to him, or it'll go up on the screen. As we go through these questions, if you'll do that, then we'll have the chance to get your input and it'll be up on the screen, so. Yep.
No, no, not your camera. Here. We'll just hover it over with that QR photos, you might wanna.
This is my check.
Wait, yeah.
It's taking a long time to load it though,
And it's, we haven't both,
And
any
then-
questions yet.
and so they haven't questions on there yet, because then we don't get the page.
Yeah, it's just, yes, and then.
That's a good idea though, I like that.
Yeah, you could always do a first,
They have
Nothing question.
questions on it.
If you did like a first, like nothing question.
Well, yeah, those, so they'll
They're
go.
always-
Prompt and then.
Yeah, we'll should, we'll.
First one he's put together. First one he's put
Yeah.
together.
Oh,
We're trying to share.
Then yeah, don't listen to me, I'd mess it up.
So you're good. I share that piece with you, Pete.
We are, this is all new for us.
Yeah, we're trying to.
We're dragging this county out into the open.
In past life.
Yeah, just need it for that and then.
Events.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
We started, this was 2008. We started laying in kind of this interactive stuff. It was
So then there's-
nationwide.
There.
So it was
Or
all
if you want
Oh,
it,
yeah.
other stuff. So I was back on the internet, especially,
and then you.
now it's so much backwards.
Yeah. That's how American Idol got started, right? American Idol.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that worked. better.
Maybe just leave it there. Yeah.
You got 10 so far.
Okay.
So. So I guess those are all the questions.
So is that asking you to answer all of them at one time or?
Yeah, this is.
Oh, yeah.
I summarized all those 4 questions right there, not the responses.
Okay. Right.
Once you finish that thing, then go class.
Guess I could look at my screen. There we go. So what makes Greater Rigby area or Greater Rigby unique and what must we do to preserve it so it remains true to its roots over the next 20 years? The one comment from Nancy, right? The Greater Rigby area is notable for its historical importance as the birthplace of television, scenic location within the Upper Snake River Valley. Small town ambiance, abundant recreational resources, cohesive identity contribute significantly to its appeal for residents and visitors. I mean, all these are words that we're looking forward to identify it.
That one.
Again, we are talking about the 30 square miles around Rigby. So much the entire county, so keep that in mind.
How ultimately does this meld with the rest of the county?
How does it meld with the rest of the
I
county?
mean, we're talking a 30 square mile area basically surrounding greater Rigby area. Then you got the whole rest of the county.
I think if,
What kind of planning is there for the rest of the county?
so they have their, we've talked about it a little bit today with the board.
37, that we just put one, past the. And then for the TV, I think is one of them, so I don't. Right on.
So we talked a little bit about it today because the requests that we have come, from all over the county on how to make changes and what to do. We started a discussion on doing some rezoning to larger lot sizes outside this 30 square miles.
Outside.
Outside. Yeah, it's outside the 30 square. miles. So it continues to focus that growth in that 30 square miles. And then, of course, around the cities, each of the cities. So there's Manan, there's Ryrie, there's Louisville, I didn't go in order, there's Mud Lake, right? And so, yeah. And then there's communities like LaBelle and Anna's and Lorenzo and Grant. And probably some that I'm not mentioning, Clark. There's these little communities where there's been town sites established, right? They, at one point, there was a subdivision or something that started those town sites. So at some point, we'll have to expand and look at the comprehensive plan for those specific areas, right? As a whole. Right now, the comprehensive plan that's in place is holding all that stuff stayed. It's not, we're not experienced in terms of growth out there. Most of the growth is occurring in this 30 square miles.
Right, understandable, but one of the things that occurred to me is if you, for lack of a better term, want to restrict growth within the greater Rigby area to preserve more of a rural ambiance, small town feel, is that simply going to push the desire for expansion or for higher density growth upward?
Well,
And find yourself surrounded.
my concern is it's not gonna push it out. My concern is that you're gonna see that land spread out. So right now, where the zoning minimum is 5 acres, you're gonna see hundreds of 5 acre parcels created. Because the demand for housing will increase the value of the property so much that folks won't mind paying, 250, 300,000 for a 5 acre parcel. And that's how you mess it all up, is you push it out that way. I mean, we're even seeing some 10 acre, some properties in 10 acre zones split up. A guy's got 130 acres in a 10 acre zone. He's gonna create 13 10 acre parcels, and he's gonna sell them for 400,000 apiece. And they'll probably sell because they've got water rights, they've got the ability to have animals and all that stuff. And so, there are folks that look for that kind of a product. They probably won't sell fast, but they'll probably sell. And so that's what happens though, and that's why we wanna look at this 30 square miles as, eventually that Rigby area. Right? And that's where we want that growth to occur. So we don't wanna restrict it to where you can't develop in the greater Rigby area. We actually want the greater Rigby area to be the place where you develop. We want, so it protects all the farmland on the outside. Right. So the cool thing is we're not experiencing exponential growth, right? We're not having 5,000 people a year come to this county. We may have 1,000 people a year come to this county, which is about 300 homes a year, which is what we're building. So, but 300 homes on R1 zoning, 1 acre zoning, is still a half a section.
Absolutely.
Right? And so that's why when we talked about the greater Rigby area, and we talked about, half acre lots and quarter acre lots, that's why. But under what conditions do we accept that, and where do we accept that, and what does it look like?
I understand, I'm sorry, go ahead. I understand the logic of it.
Yeah.
And, when you talk about 5 acre parcels, 5 or 10 acre parcels, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of room for lots like that out there. But in the broader scheme of things, 5 and 10 acre parcels are still pretty good sized parcels relative to folks being in Rigby looking at quarter acre, half acre, 1 acre. That's a huge piece of property for a home. So it's gonna have somewhat of a restriction on growth because you can't cram 100 houses in that small lot, but even that 5 acre lot. But it sounds like what we're trying to do is refocus and force the higher density growth into the more central Rigby area of the greater.
Where services are provided.
Correct. And that weighs a bit heavily on me because what I see in this community, and I'll include the city of Rigby in that, is I just don't see the infrastructure to support that. And I see the commercial development going in such a direction that a lot of opportunities for expansion of roadways or creating new roadways is already gone. You've already got buildings in places where you look at it and you go, well, a good example is Rigby Lake, Jefferson County Lake up there. There's one way in and one way out.
Yep.
And you think, well, look down the road, years from now, the smart move would be create another entrance in the back end. You can't, water stones in there now. So you're stuck with that.
Yep.
And I look down Rigby Lake Drive and they're talking about this huge development off of 460. And you think of the impact there with the number of the high density housing that's going in there.
Yep.
And the commercial development. And you look at Rigby Lake Drive and you're going, how in the world are people going to get through there?
Right.
And it's just, you've already lost that.
Right.
And that's kind of my concern now is I understand the refocus with the higher density local to the central community. makes a lot of sense, but can we really accommodate that from an infrastructure standpoint?
So, and so that's what makes this project interesting, is we're not trying to solve the end problem. We're trying to plan for the end problem, right? And so, so we don't know how it's gonna be, those things will be solved, but we know that they need to be solved, right? And so that's what we're trying to do, is create a plan that says, if you're going to allow high density in this area, these things need to be addressed,
Absolutely.
right? That's what we're trying to solve. We're not trying to say, where's it gonna come from? You know, how much more sewer can Rigby handle? We're not trying to solve that problem. That problem will get solved down the road. We just wanna know that as it develops, these things need to be addressed.
They're basically trying to just define what it is that he desires.
Right,
Okay, in this amount of time, we would like to see it look like this, or this type of a feature, and then from that framework. Back, these are the rules, or I guess the guidelines or whatever, and then from there, how we make it action on the citizens.
yes. Yeah, well, and some of this stuff, you know, some of these things, questions will answer that, right? When we talk about, you know, where do we want high density, where do we want commercial, where do we want recreation stuff, where is this, right? And what does it look like, the end picture, right?
Do we have the ability, I guess, I'm looking at some of those questions and I was going, okay, do we have the ability to go, you know what, in that greater Rigby area, you know, in my mind, I'm kind of going, it's a really small area. I mean, I grew up in Salt Lake and like, that's puny, you know, as far as putting stuff. And, you know, just like Daybreak is significantly larger. That's pretty much just residential. Is, do we have the ability to say, you know what, in this, we want no more, all heavy industrial should be out of this area because it's not a good fit. You know, light industrial should be in here. Commercial that's not consuming here shouldn't be in here. It should be within this is a more tight knit community. And then let's have things that support that. Anything, you know, let's say get these things necessarily out of the area, but out of that little tight zone.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you're all, vehicles and all that's gonna always be a challenge, but why add big trucks and all those other things that are just complicated? Right.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we're thinking. And then, and down the road, we'll talk about I-15 and, you know, and industrial parks along I-15. We've already been talking about it some, but we just haven't pulled the trigger on that yet.
And we have such a short little Highway 20 portion. I mean, it's like if you're in Jefferson, then you're out of Jefferson.
Yeah.
And then, you know, my understanding of the past plan is, build along that.
Right.
But as far as with, you know, what, 3 exits?
3 exits and 2 on ramps.
Yeah,
That goes south, where you can go over. From 48.
yeah.
Which creates a lot of traffic.
Yeah. And that stuff's coming. We met with ITD last week and we'll continue to. We should have a meeting coming up here in the next month. We tried to encourage them to meet by the end of June, so hopefully we'll have that.
Are you aware of any activity with respect to Madison County and their intentions as far as on ramps and off ramps in the area between Rigby and Riceboro?
I don't know of any changes that they're planning right now. I mean, that ITD hasn't mentioned it, their 10-year planning that I'm aware of. So,
I mean, I just kind of see that as a formula for faster ultimately when you really only have like 2 in for now.
Yeah, but when you get up there, you're on the other side of the river's in the way. Doesn't matter for us unless we put more bridges in.
right. So there, like I said, there's a plan being developed. It just hasn't come out to the public yet. So I could email you a copy of the PowerPoint,
Mhm.
because you could look at the PowerPoint for some of the plans that ITB has.
You're referring to like.
Yeah, the ITB plan, yeah, yeah. We're just waiting for the final numbers to come. That's the problem, is if I send you a copy of what they have given us right now, we're not sure that the numbers are accurate, right?
But in 10 years, it always changes.
Yes, that's true.
It's government.
If it took 10 years to create the fee, this price would change. Okay, any other questions on this one? Any other comments? Okay, let's go on to the next. Yep, land use and growth management. You know, what's interesting is the board also talked about this a little bit today. When I talk about the board, I'm talking about the county commissioners, not the planning. When I say commission, I talk about the planning and zoning commission. When I say board, I'm talking about the county commissioners. But we talked about about this housing density, and how they really agree that we should look to separate single family housing and multifamily housing. So
Well, I think number one goes right to what Steve was saying earlier. That, you know, you need to kind of compartmentalize things. You're gonna have major industrial here. Consumer oriented, small business type stuff here. R1, larger lots here, higher density over there. You're not trying to mix them all together.
yeah, so they don't like the randomness of Idaho Falls.
Well, I mean,
Apartments.
and you could have some that are multi-use or something.
Right.
Or yeah, but you know, and I think if it's done properly, I mean, you know, sorry to keep going back to Salt Lake, but I remember in Daybreak, they have kind of these little pockets where they got like some, you know, I just put like a salon and a restaurant or whatever, right, with it's like some homes, but it's designed and it flows,
Yeah,
versus just, yeah.
I like that too. I especially like the mixed use. Rigby's got a little mixed use going on.
17% to be exact.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
17% of in the city is multifamily. That's it.
Oh, okay.
17% is what?
The multifamily use in the city compared to single family dwellings is 71%.
Single family homes are 71 and that's good.
And by multifamily, you're talking apartments, duplexes, anything outside.
The side-by-side homes, I think there was 7% off the top of my head. Don't quote me on that. But the fourplex and above was like 17% considering.
Very cool.
Well, they can answer this question too.
How should we grow carefully? And where should new development go versus what should be protected? And the key there is what do you mean by new development, commercial, industrial?
All of it? Yeah.
You know,
Well, not so, I think we've decided industrial, right? Right. I mean, we have some industrial out along our county line with Palisades, and we have a little bit, I don't think it's in, is that the only industrial?
So what is it that's coming up next, close to the cities? Who's putting that up? We are, or,
Yeah, someone answered that.
okay, whether somebody's answering this for us? We're reading our head.
There is a little bit.
No, there's
There's a little bit industrial all around 20. Various locations, but it's light industrial. It's not heavy. It's in the city. Or that pink spot's in the city. Yeah, here's what it is.
There's some right there. So,
It's our Fort Business Park. And then the city, and then. Oh, that's all in the city too. Yeah. Okay. Yep.
We have the heavy industrial down on county line
Yeah,
by
but
the transfer station.
yeah, the transfer station. That's about it, though. Not much.
And down in that area, I think it's good for
Yes, well, and that's kind of the way it's trending.
I-15.
So Bonneville County has 3 gravel pits on that side of the county. Down around that transfer site, there's 3 huge gravel pits down there. One of them's owned by ITD, so yeah. The industrial growth down that way is gonna continue to keep that way.
And so you're never really gonna wanna build houses that way. Per se, right?
Oh, some of them.
I mean, I think that's kind of part of the reason we're here is to look at that sort of thing as well. We want to put a major industrial center here that makes all perfect sense, given the proximity to I-15 County Line Road, the 20, this is a great spot for it. And the developer comes in and says, well, I just bought 60 acres of land and I want to put 300 apartments in there. Right next to it. It's like, we don't think that's really an appropriate place to put it.
Right,
That's the kind of thing we're trying to
yeah,
make.
no, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, then they can look, yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Cause then they can say, hey, this is the plan. Oh, maybe this isn't a good thing to buy. Versus, yeah, they buy it and then they get mad later because someone builds a big industrial thing right next to them.
Sure, yeah, sure. There are people wanting to sue everybody because they can smell the cows in the field across from them, and it's like, the cows have been there for 40 years.
Or the airport.
Yeah.
That's just the natural.
And I like it from the center of the city, emphasis on considering for infrastructure prior to and during growth. I mean, I think. I know, as you said earlier, we don't want to go too far down the road, but at the same time, when the plan comes up and somebody says, I want to buy this land, I want to develop it, build houses or put in apartment complexes or whatever, we've got to look at that and say, okay, let's assume you're gonna have 300, 400, 500 people living in there. How are they gonna get in and out? You know, without creating a nightmare everywhere else.
Yeah.
Can we put 4 lanes in there? Do we want 4 lanes in there?
Yes.
We need 20 stoplights and 1 stop sign where, you know, and I think we have to be careful that I've seen this happen with a couple of developments around here. It's like, well, we're not thinking about that. Like, again, that's operation they got on 460. I mean, you've got industrial buildings, commercial buildings right across the street, FedEx trucks coming in, backing in, delivering trucks into the plumbing supply house there. And you're looking right across the street, but they're talking 300 units in there. And it's, okay, 300 units, you gotta assume that each one has at least 2 cars and a handful of people in it. And they're all gonna be trying to come in and out at the same time. And you got this one narrow little road, and you look at it and you go, there's no way to expand this road to the right or the left. It's all developed on either side. You're stuck with that. And you go down, okay, let's look at the other end down at Hannah's Highway. Guess what? Same thing. You got everything built on one side, everything built on the other. It's gonna
Well,
be a mess.
the road hasn't been developed on the county lines or on the county side of that road.
Right.
Of Rigby Lake Drive, so there is room to widen that road. Because it's, well, the sidewalks and all that stuff haven't been put in, so there's room to do stuff there. The county just has to get on the ball.
Well, yeah, that kind of goes, you know, we're already there with county line and 3800 and 39 or Yellowstone Highway across the road. I mean, we already have a problem there. That, Milton and I talked about this a little bit one day. Nobody wants to fix that problem because they want somebody else to do it. And
They don't want, it's there, we have a plan, we're waiting for the final numbers from ITD hired Horrocks to do that study and put together that plan. And we're waiting for the final numbers on what it's gonna cost to do the different scenarios to fix, and they proposed 5 or 6 different scenarios. That include County Line Road, include 200, include the one-way on and off ramp or on ramp or whatever. They put together, and they includes Highway 48. So they've put together some scenarios. We just, again, the board, we're waiting for Horrocks to come out with that. The board wants to do a public meeting and share all that with the public as soon as we get the final numbers from Horrocks. So it's coming.
do do we have a clue when it might come?
Hopefully by the end of June is what
Okay,
we're waiting
alright.
for. Like I said, I have the preliminary numbers, but I don't have the final.
But do we pay for that as taxpayers, or is the developers gonna have to put some of that bill?
It's everybody involved pays for that. So Bonneville County, Jefferson County, developers.
I talked to the developers for Trellis. Yeah, and yeah, they're going under this knowing that if they gotta pitch in as far as to get everybody else to play. Yeah, otherwise they're not gonna be able to get some of their people in there. They won't come in with all these problems.
No, and that's how we end up like Idaho Falls, with roads that can't handle the.
So did we get everybody answer the questions? We'll never get through this if we don't keep going. I know it's fun to keep talking about all this stuff and what might be, but
It's called synergy, that's how we're doing.
we need to keep going. Yeah, let's go on. Yep, agriculture preservation, go to your question. Yep. Again, we're talking about this 30 square miles, right? And farmland and agriculture heritage inside. Now, you know, I've talked to several people that own lots of land inside this 30 square miles that have absolutely no plan to develop it right now. Some of them actually have access to sewer and water, and they have no plan to develop it. They're gonna continue to farm it as long as they can. And so when we talk about this plan, we're talking about, right, grandkids who are gonna acquire this land and don't wanna live in Rigby. And that's how a lot of this happens, is, you know, folks leave, grandkids get the land and they don't wanna stay here or whatever, so they divide it up and sell it. After the family feud at the dinner, after the funeral, and, right, and then, right, then everybody's in here asking about what can I do? And so, that's what we're talking about, is inside this 30 square miles, and how do we protect some of this farmland inside in that 30 square miles?
We have a rough number as far as how much of that area within the 30 square miles is farmland as opposed to other.
I don't. We were so focused on trying to figure out how many vacant subdivision lots we have.
Did you work on that?
We did.
Yeah.
We did.
That's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there's some ag land that's zoned commercial.
There's actually still some ag land as well.
Yeah.
So,
Most of it.
Does it tend to be out more towards Ryrie, or?
no. We're talking about the 30 square miles around Rigby. So county line to 600, 3,700 to 4,200.
Okay, okay.
It's talking about 30 square miles.
That's, I guess I didn't understand what 30 square miles we're actually talking about.
Yeah.
Now I do.
Yep.
But we're looking down the road at the 2055 projection of 85,000 people in this area.
Sure.
And knowing what families can often do when they look at grandkids suddenly deciding they don't want to be farmers, they'd rather be coders, you know?
Right.
And selling that land, I think, is how we best protect our vibrant farmland and agricultural heritage. There's a part of me that says, do you really want to do that within the greater Rigby area? I think the emphasis on the protection of that should be the areas outside of the greater Rigby area. Because earlier we're saying that we want to focus the growth more towards the city. Now, if you're going to focus it more towards the city and there's farmland in there, you're looking down the road 20, 30 years, maybe that's farmland that's not going to be there anymore. In which case, what are you going to do with it then? Somebody goes to sell their land, developer buys it, you know, he's gonna start pounding on the door wanting to get it rezoned for residential development or commercial development. But I mean, I like the farmland, I mean, just the way it is. But everything I'm hearing is that as we grow, we want to force the growth to be more centralized. And if within that pocket, got little areas of farmland, if I had to predict the future, I'd say 30 years from now, that farmland won't exist. It's going to be something else.
There may be a couple little pockets,
Little pockets here
and
and there.
eventually, it'll go away. but-
Sure.
But how would we go about telling people, no, you can't sell your grandparents' farmland? This has to stay.
You can't.
Well, we can't tell them they can't sell it, but if I understand the rules correctly, you can tell them if you do sell it, it's gonna be, the limit would be 5 or 10 acre parcels or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Make it larger.
Can you do that?
yeah,
Tell me.
yeah. Yep. Yeah, again, it really comes down to how you write your policies. Like, for example, in the comprehensive plan right now, it says that high density development belongs inside the area of impact,
Mhm.
right? I mean, that guides growth, that sentence guides growth. And so when people come to us and say, hey, can I zone this R1 and it's out in the middle of nowhere, we say no, because, it needs to be inside the area of impact,
Mhm.
right? And so you're looking for policies like that. There are a few sections out here, 3.5 or so, that are still zoned ag 10 in this 30 square miles. And they're all up around 3,700 and 500 to 600. And so there's still a bunch of it's actually ag 10 zoning up there. Everything else is, there's still some large parcels. A couple of them are already slated for development. Like Hunter Chase is already slated for development. We've got an application for a subdivision there. Yeah, the Rigby 191, yep. There's still some other big pieces of farmland that are not, that haven't.
Nobody's made an offer yet.
Yeah, but it's coming. I mean, the stuff up around Red Fox and some of those areas out there they're all looking at what they can and can't do, so. Yeah,
But I noticed this because I take different routes when I go to town just because of traffic. And lately I've been going down Hit Road and 25th or whatever it is out in the county here. I don't understand the system for Bonneville County never will, but there seems to be some larger parcels. The
yeah,
further
there's
out
still
you
some
go.
farmland.
No, I'm talking about even the residential places that are larger parcels. As soon as you come across the highway, you get into, there's some density right by the highway, and as you further travel, to the north, there's places along the same road, but they're bigger. They're a little bit bigger. And they're like maybe 5-10 acre places or something like that I see a lot of on those roads there. Is there a, before I type a stupid response, because I don't want to do that, is there a way, like we were just discussing, to potentially, with these big places that will eventually get sold, to tell them that, when you sell it, it can't be divided up into such tiny places where you can put 1 million houses on it and maybe make it a bigger. So is there language that says we can ask them to do that?
Well, I kind of gave you some, it would have to be something like that, like I talked about, right? Something that talks about protecting the existing agriculture land inside the greater Rigby area. Because we're talking about goals and policies that will eventually lead to zoning codes, right? And so it's not a zoning code yet, but it would lead to that. And then it also leads to decisions on zone changes and conditional use permits, right? State statute says that a zone change has to be in accord with the comprehensive plan. The conditional use permit has to be in agreement with the goals and policies of the comprehensive plan. And so that's how the comprehensive plan guides the growth. And so, yeah, a sentence that would lead to that, to holding that picture in place.
Yeah, I'm not saying, I don't know how to respond to this, but what I'm trying to say is that these large, let's say 160 acre places that they don't intend to sell right now, that are good farmland, first of all, it's good farmland, some of it's junk, like where I live, it's all rocks. And it made sense to build houses on it. But, when this occurs, when these people, when the kids do decide to sell it, is there a way to say, if you sell this place, you can't make it R1 and build 500 houses on it.
I think that's what we're trying to say.
Yeah, and I'm just confused.
You're saying that that's possible if we build the structure in the code and then the comprehensive plan.
Yeah, gotta build the comp plan first, and so,
But as far as like for the greater Rigby area, are we wanting to protect that, the big chunk?
I guess what I'm trying to say is I wouldn't try to say, let's force these people to sell these places and make them 100-acre lots, make them 5.
right,
And so that you take that what once was farmland and you sold it now and you want to build houses on it, let's make it 5-acre places. And then if there's water rights, guess what? We can figure out a way to use them so that we're not still sucking water out of the ground forever and we're putting water back in. That's what I'd like to see a lot more of as we develop. Because I live in an R1 area that they're not 1-acre places. They're a little bit bigger. And we use the water. And I'd like to see that around here if we can. I don't know how to say that.
no, that's it right there, encourage, agriculture land to stay large acre developments, 2 to 5 acre, 2 to 5, 2 to 10 acre developments.
I really think
Transitional ag or something.
that's all you can really do at this point is establish a policy, which isn't necessarily legally binding. I mean, okay, grandpa's passed away and the grandkids have now got this, whatever, 160-acre parcel. They don't want to farm it.
Nope.
They're gonna do something else. So they say, well, we'll sell it. As the developer comes in, he says, the houses I can build here, the apartments I can put here. And as a matter of policy, you say, well, you can't do what you want because we designate this area as, we can do
But
R5 or
but you can do this.
But yeah, you could do R5 or R10. He's gonna sit down with his calculator and go, the money's just not there for me. I want it rezoned to R1 and I want, 4-acre parcels. And at that point, you've got commission or city council, whatever is gonna go. Okay.
Yeah.
That. We
That's
say it
right.
as a policy, this is.
But why do we have to give in? Why can't we say it as a policy and then continue to not, like I say, not force people to say, no, you can't ever. But let's consider this. Like I say, where I live, I have no idea why they designed this subdivision with 20 houses on my road that they did that way. But they did, and it works great.
Yeah, it's just another product.
Did they lose? Could they have made another $1 million when they developed that place? Yeah, maybe, but they didn't, and it was 30 years ago.
Depends on the investor.
So,
I mean, some of these people want to come in here and they say, I'm fine building 25 houses on 5-acre lots. That's fine.
well, I have to live there. All I want to do is collect the money, and that's, I guess, what we need to kind of.
So they go, no, I want the big bucks. I want to cram as many people in as I possibly can and sell individual condominiums for 300 grand a pop.
Some of it's what the market will bear too, right?
Yeah.
Right, so, no, look, this is a good discussion and I see where you're wanting to head with this and we can put verbiage in there that gets us there.
But yeah, in the end, we do a comprehensive plan, we do all of that, and yes, at least to my understanding, if the city council or the board decides they want to do something different and just say yes to it, they can, even though there should be going by that, they have the legal ability to say, we're gonna go against this, we're gonna go ahead and change the zoning.
Yeah, because what I'm saying is not no, we can't develop the place. We know we're gonna grow, we know we're gonna develop, but is it necessary to put 50 houses here when you can put 30? And just make it a little bit less dense. Is it, could we go that way? Cause then you got less traffic, you got less crime.
Yeah,
But you're still developing the area, you're still gonna get what the county needs and wants is the tax revenue. But you don't have, you didn't just, you could build skyscrapers here. And,
No,
I'm not about tax revenue, that's a different part.
I agree with you.
You know,
All I'm saying is if down the road, if we've established these policies and they've been codified as part of the plan, that's great. We can all go home and celebrate that you did a good job. We just need to keep an eye on it down the road, 5, 10, 15 years for somebody who wants to sneak in and go, come on, change that.
true, and they tried to change it, just to the west to the west of me. And they got told, no, can't make it, can't do it. It's outside the area, so you can't do it. So we can tell them no, but we can tell them, we can say, yes, we know we're gonna grow. Yes, we're gonna, they're gonna sell this 160 acres, but let's really stick to our guns and say, let's not, if we don't have to, put skyscrapers.
That's why that's why the comprehensive plan is so important.
Yep.
how high does the county let you, build? Is it 2-story, 3 stories? What's the county's 3 stories?
No limit.
All of it? See, the city only allows 2-story still.
Yeah.
Can I respond to the well said, keep the city from it?
It's not in our control.
Are you responding?
Yeah,
to
yeah,
agree or
exactly.
you disagree?
Well, the bad part of it is why don't y'all drive around the city limits? Go out a couple of miles, drive around.
Yeah,
You guys count how many subdivisions is out in the county. Now come into my city and see how many I've got.
yeah,
It's,
thousands.
I'll be quiet.
6 years ago, the city had 3 building permits. Because the county had pretty well shut off the growth.
Yeah.
And since the changing,
Hence the reason we started the area
area
big
impact,
Yeah,
and it wasn't being applied by very well.
at all.
And now we are working very well with the county trying to control that growth. Like anything in the city, if they annex in, we do a 40% setback from the road for further growth, for wider roads. And that it hasn't been done in the past. So there's things that we're working on as a team to do that type of stuff. But all these subdivision outside there were built around the county before the city quit growing for a long time because of nobody wants to be in city limits because the taxes are twice as much. You have to do sidewalk, curb, gutter. So the county was allowed them to stay in the county.
Which all of them come into the city and they use everything in that city. I'll just point it out, my roads.
Yep.
I don't get any help for that.
And parks and rec.
if there's a pothole, we drive through it twice.
Yeah. Leave my hands.
Now, but
Yeah.
the problems was prior to,
It's a challenge, it is, and we talk about this issue all the time. So,
This is common with other counties.
well, I don't know if it's this bad, to allow the sub-acre zoning or the sub-acre subdivisions out in the county. Without city services was just a mistake that it's taken forever
Yes.
to try and fix, and I just don't know the answer.
well, like for me, instance, I live on 4100. I purchased my place a long time ago. In 2008, they come in and done a total rezone change. I was in R5, now I'm in R1. When my kids don't want my place, what are they gonna do? They're gonna subdivide those 5 acres,
Yeah,
but when I purchased it, it was R5.
Yeah.
So, and now it's R1.
okay, hit the next question, let's see if we can get through a couple more of these here than I find. So again, housing in neighborhoods, and this is a big deal, because like we're talking, we have some, Pepperwood is 0.3 acre lots. They do have a suburban water and sewer system. It's not city, but it's a community leach field, basically, for lack of a better term.
But at least it's there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then somebody, if they ever do wanna hook services up to the city, wherever that, then it's.
Well, that's optimistic.
Well,
Because it's, each home has a septic tank. And then they run, instead of leach field, they run it to a central location where it's filtered 4 times and run into the ground, so.
But at least you could hook up to city water if you had to someday, easily. A lot easier. I lived in a place in Washington years ago that we had a community well, and we had our own septic tanks. And that worked out pretty well.
Well, the challenge that we're finding is that these older systems didn't necessarily build to city standard for their water system, and so we're gonna be like Fibercom, not putting in new.
Please don't mention that. I just got a text and I probably should go.
I know, right?
Uh,
Ugh. I know, I watched that this weekend.
I'd like to see a lot more of that, community wells and if they're gonna put them on that, put a community well in.
Okay, so let's move on. We gotta keep going. Get these guys so we can get some product out of here. So provide diverse, affordable housing options while still protecting areas of real character. Any thoughts on that?
Affordability isn't our concern.
That's correct. I don't use that word in any vocabulary.
It's supply and demand dictates that.
Yep.
You know, both of these answers involve senior housing, and I think that's true.
Yep.
There's that Eagles Rest.
Yep, that is,
That's the only one I know of.
I love it, but he can't sell them, he can't sell them.
So we come in and ask for a rezone.
He's gonna try to get a rezone to build what?
He wants to do a PUD and do R3 in between. It hasn't went through
What's a PUD?
planned unit development.
Private roads, private area.
yep.
I'm hoping he'll leave it 55 and older, but he says they're just not selling fast enough.
I tried talking my life into letting us.
But isn't that the supply and demand signal?
Yeah, and that's why they're looking at different products.
I mean, everybody that's old and 55 and above moves to, what's the place in Florida called? You know,
It's on Seinfeld's show.
I think the problem is when he started that, he could sell his houses for like 270, 280, and now they're 400 and something.
That's a,
And when you're on a retirement and that type of money, people can't afford that,
yeah.
you know, and so when it was a good idea when he started, but after everything went through, his houses are more money. So I would like to see him do smaller homes and then keep it in them, you know, 60, 55 and older, but
That's the only one I know of in Rigby, right?
yes,
Yeah, that's,
yes, and it's been, and the people, it's just great.
I love it.
I do too.
yeah,
It's clean.
I do too, yeah.
So we're hoping, we're talking, but we don't have that control, but we're talking.
So the key to affordability is, at this level, is all, the only thing we can offer towards that is higher density. Right, because the more homes you build on a parcel, you decrease the cost of services, or more people share in the cost of services. And so that's the benefit to that, right? What are they, 10 units over there per acre, or 12 units per acre? And so that allows the cost of the roads and the cost of the utilities to be shared, the installation of the utilities, right? To be shared among those homeowners, and so that lowers the cost of that's where affordability comes in. So we're not talking about affordability as affordable housing options such as Section 8 or whatever. Those things belong in cities where you can provide jobs and transportation and healthcare and those types of things.
As far as the affordability, would that also be something like only developing in areas where there is city service instead of something that brings the cost down?
That makes sense.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah, because, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's already city services available.
Yeah.
And that should be your emphasis within the greater Rigby area. Those types of communities should be located within the greater Rigby area rather than outside.
And so again, to the importance of these policies is the county has one zone that allows that higher density. It's not laid down anywhere on the ground. If somebody wants that higher density zone, they have to apply for a zone change. And it has to go to public hearings with the planning and zoning commission and the board. And that's the suburban neighborhood zone. And so again, the importance of this policy guides the commissioners when they're making that decision on where should we lay this down. And if somebody applies for it, should be granted, and that's what this would do. So,
I got it.
I just second. Any other thoughts?
Which is worried because I was like, almost done typing, yeah, just go away. Oh, I cry. I haven't copied and pasted yet.
Let's say. Go ahead.
Alright.
okay, infrastructure, public services. Go ahead to the question, a lot of this is gonna be, working with the city. Right now, there's several places that have asked to have service to city services outside the city limits. They're the ones that are paying for that infrastructure to be installed. And so number one, is it the city's willingness to provide that service outside city limits? And then number two, it's the developer's willingness to pay for that infrastructure. And so what that does is when you open up that line outside of city limits, then, and that, say that line's a mile outside of city limits, right, to get to that property. All of those people along that line now have the opportunity to hook into that line, right? And have access to that service. And so, those are things that we need to pay attention to is that as those lines move outside the city limits, the infill that can occur there, and how do we address that infill? And making sure that it keeps up with all of the infrastructure. So say they move the water line a mile outside the city limits, and then you have subdivisions that want to go in and hook into that. What is that going to do to the request, for roads and other public services, right? So we need to make sure that as those infill opportunities arise, that we address the additional services, not just the fact that, hey, we have water, so we want to do 0.6 acre lots, right? We also have to take care of the roads and intersections and those issues as well.
Can I ask a question about city services?
Yeah.
How do we know what the city can provide? You guys know. But I mean, it's like, a couple conversations we've had. I'd rather be able to make an intelligent argument than just guess. So me, as just a citizen, I don't know how much water the city can provide to these new subdivisions. I don't know how much sewer capacity we have, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. And you're right, the city knows, and they have to.
Yeah,
But some of it can be answered easily, right? I'm gonna put words in your mouth. Water's pretty easy. You just drill a well and plug in a line.
Water's easy, however, I have to have enough storage to be able to make all of them fire hydrants function. If I have, say, 3 fires on every corner of this city,
Yeah,
I gotta have the storage capacity.
Yep.
So that's the only drawback that we have right now as far as huge expansion. But that's already in the works. I just got $5 million from Simpson. I've had plans, been working on it for 5 years for another storage tank.
yeah.
Once that storage tank is in place, you're good. As far as the sewer plant, I'll be dead and gone before they have to do anything other than the headworks. And the headworks is not a big pinch right now. He's got enough time to find grant money because I'm not taking it out of savings. I don't give a damn what he says. Oh, that infuriates me.
Yeah.
Anyhow, the only holdback on that sewer plant is the headworks. And he's got enough time to find grant money to pay for that. So my citizens aren't having to pay for that.
Yeah.
Same way I did with the $23 million in grant money we got to rebuild that. Right now we've got 4 ox ditches out there. He's using one of them. 3 of them are laying there empty. It's huge.
Yeah.
So I hope that answered some questions.
With
Just out
that,
of curiosity, huge for how long? At what point,
We
based on population
tried
projections?
to go out over 30 years. DEQ wouldn't have. the max they let us go was 20. But in 20 years, and I can bring that paper where it can show you, it was at our peak in 20 years, peak of growth. What we was getting, what the schools were getting. I mean, when we got our very highest reading, we were what, third in the state or
Yeah,
whatever. 20 years, we're good.
So with that knowledge, wouldn't we make it as a part of our charter paramount that any new development put in infrastructure?
absolutely.
And that has been really pushed the last 3 years.
Well,
Yeah.
I know I've personally pushed it, but I've seen it not happen.
Well, it's,
And I've seen it not happen where it should have happened.
So the part that I'm always confused on when I hear that as far as infrastructure was, oh, the developers are paying for the infrastructure. And then in talking to a developer, what I understand is they pay for the infrastructure within their property. They put in the roads and some of that, and then they go, okay, it's up to the county to maintain it, and we put it in. But I think as far as on some of the city utilities, like that initial hookup, they may pay for that, but they're not necessarily saying, okay, here's a bunch of money because the roads need to be widened. Here's some money for the schools, because, we're gonna have to build some more schools. And that's, I guess, for me, is the concern of, hey, where do you come up with that?
I
don't know how.
I think you really force a lot of that onto the developer. You don't
And so-
develop it,
and
you've
so
got to
for-
pay for it.
And so for a comprehensive plan, we need to include things like when subdivisions are developed, they should be doing projections, right? What was the word I used the other day, right? Project, like if. Well, if the sewer's a mile away, feasibility study, right? So what they need to include a feasibility study to provide those services with their subdivision application, right? To hook into city services, what would that cost? And they should provide that information with their application. And then the same goes with roads. Their traffic impact studies should be looking at the impact on county roads and intersections. And we're gonna see some of that coming up, right, with some of the subdivisions coming in, is the impact studies, traffic impact studies will have to include some of these other intersections. So that's what we're looking for in goals and policies that lead to those codes, right?
When we're talking about public services, does that include schools? At our very first meeting, we talked about how information was sent to the schools, but the schools never respond in regards to how will this affect you? Can we put that on the developer to get an answer back?
That's a great suggestion,
Yeah,
Why should,
because otherwise we end up with levies that,
yeah,
because we didn't forecast that we needed another school because we built 10,000 houses. I know
exactly,
that's an exaggeration.
exactly. So that the
You
schools,
gotta go see what that.
I'm sorry, no, sorry, I've got water running, I gotta go see what got you here.
okay, yeah, that's true.
yeah, let's put it on the developers to make sure that the schools are aware and can handle, at least they're responding. Right now, they're not responding.
They don't
I
respond.
think they've thrown up their hands and said, we can't get a levy, so,
Well,
but.
they haven't thrown up their hands and said we can't. They're coming back with another levy. It won't be this year, but it'll probably be in the next. But they're also, their numbers have leveled. And so they're trying to figure out what all that means. So again,
I think that bothers me.
On a regular little bit, rather than saying, I say it's. That the developer cannot be approved or proceed until. You've got a response from, say, the school district.
It's really hard. We had the school we asked for the school to come to our last meeting and they did not show up. They said they'd be there and then he forgot. But he says, I cannot ask for something until I know how much I need.
Well, you're gonna,
So, and they
Participation
don't,
discussion.
well, this housing develop, and he also said a lot of classes are online now. So their numbers are, like he says, balancing out.
yeah,
But I mean, I think my guess would be, there should be some way to predict, oh, yeah, we predict that there'll be at least 10% growth in the next 10 years. I mean, just go crazy lowball and you still know something.
so we ought to be thinking about building a school.
well, again, there's just so many answers to these questions that,
So there was the question was asked was kind of the public utility. So basically, we've got sewer, water, schools, roads. What else?
Parks.
Parks.
yep,
Yorks.
Well, and actually, I'm on a committee for library. Our library is so tiny in the city that we'd like to get a county library going. And
so is it a city district only? It's not a countywide library district?
If we have to get a bigger building, that means we'd have to build, we'd have to get something outside the city limits.
It can't be on, it can't be tied to the county because the county's not looking for it. The city's being looking for it, so it has to be tied to the city. That's the way in several other counties. But I mean, other places that live, it's like county libraries rock because you have a little more money, it's spread out, and so you can kind of leverage that, where sometimes it's harder for the city to do that. And then you do like multi-county arrangements to ship books.
Okay. Go back to something real quick, because I remember this from the first meeting we had to talk about annexation. And you talk about water lines, sewer lines that actually go beyond the city limits and extend out there, you know, down the road a mile beyond city limits into the county. And the county comes back and, you know, we're gonna do this building here, we're gonna tile this stuff in. And to me, that screams annexation by the city. Well, they're gonna hook up to our services. We want to annex that area.
We can't.
Yeah,
It has to be contiguous to city, it has to be contiguous to the city to annex it in, that's a Idaho Code. So we cannot force annexation,
But if you are contiguous,
so we're expanding services within the impact area, but.
having services or having the potential to receive services is one of the criteria. For annexation.
But see, the only thing that comes into play here is the cost of putting in the infrastructure. Because after it's in, whoever's using it's paying their, you know, for the use of it. But it's the cost of putting it in that developers want to make money.
Absolutely.
And they don't want to spend a dime that they don't have to spend. I had to go, well, it's a long story.
yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah. So I think that's what we need to do is because we need to do that, because another thing that comes into play here, and I recently found out this a couple of years ago, having to do with homeowners insurance. The more houses we build, and the fact that we only have one fire station, and the further out you get, the more your insurance is gonna cost.
At 5 times increase.
Well, that's another public service. Maybe we should have a fire station on the other side of the county.
Yeah, but we also talked about that. We also collect impact fees for the fire district. So
But but I don't,
for here and for out in Roberts, so.
But the city doesn't, I like that.
That's correct. The city, yep, that's a different story. They have to adopt the impact fee studies in order to do that, so. But we do it out in the county.
it's just something needs to be taken into account, I think, because like I say, when I was talking to the fire chief, he said, where I live is fine, because there's water close to me, but if I lived out there by the Challenger plant, can't help you.
Where is another fire station other than the one here at the edge of Rigby?
I don't know all the fire department stuff.
Ryrie, yeah.
Ryrie.
There's one in the dam.
Yeah, one man, yeah,
That's the 3 I'm aware of for Central Fire District.
yeah.
So there's nothing down by County Line Road, nothing that far.
Yeah,
I just hope there's water.
I believe there's one in Roberts too.
Being on County Line Roads, that one, that new one they built in Bonneville County off Woodruff.
so, yeah. Okay. Point taken, we'll consider that as well. Go on to your next one. Here. 2 more. Economic development. We kind of got some ideas on this already, but let's type in our ideas. What types of businesses should we attract to build local prosperity while reflecting? You know, there are a lot of folks that work from home that I know about, and Pretty amazing, actually.
That's the way into the future.
Yeah,
But to me, the diversity is key. Yeah, you have small localized businesses, mom and pop shops, little restaurants, gift shops in the downtown area. You've got some of those two-story buildings, and I don't think any of the second floors have been occupied for 30 years. But some of those buildings, you can put law offices, accounting offices, tax offices in there type thing, small technology offices, those sorts of
some of that
things.
kind of stuff went above the hub,
Mhm.
right above the pizza place, some of those types of businesses.
Yeah, and you've got other areas for that, within the downtown area. I'm reading here, technology is a big thing. And I mean, that's one of those things that, why does everybody want to go to Tennessee? Why all even Seattle go to Tennessee? Well, it isn't just the tax consequences involved there. It's also that you have communities within places like Tennessee, Texas, Florida, Iowa, for that matter. It's we're gonna give you something in a break on your rent. We're gonna give you something in a break on the fees you've got to pay if you bring these 50 people to run your $1 million operation here. And we get a little bit of that as far as tax revenue. It just, to me, it's an incentive. You want somebody. You don't really need to be in downtown San Francisco to run your operation and you pay $80,000, $90,000 a month for your own office. You can come out here and do the same thing, for pennies on the dollar. So you kind of incentivize those things and encourage people to come out here for that reason. Yep.
What about like a light I don't know, would chip manufacturing be light manufacturing or heavy? Heavy?
And it's probably smaller.
Right.
I spent 40 years in the aerospace industry. Great big, huge corporation, one of the biggest in the world, and we did business with a lot of other very big, very recognizable names. But it always surprised people, literally the thousands of subcontractors we had. Right, they were very small businesses.
Well, and that's what we're seeing with INL, right? Is they have lots of support and businesses around here, right? And they support it. And so, we talked a lot about what will support that field and, especially as they start to move into these micro reactors. Building these small reactors that they can use for data centers or whatever, run small cities, whatever. So, we've been talking about some of that. We'll talk about that. We won't talk about that because it'd be the other side of the county.
In many ways, it almost doesn't matter what type of business, it's why was the business come here?
Yeah.
They have to ask them to leave somewhere else or start from scratch here as opposed to someone else and make it beneficial to them. So you got to adopt policies to encourage that. Correct.
Yeah.
How do you even reach out to company? I mean, how do you do that?
Well, they have like economic development.
Yeah, we don't.
Economic development people, you have marketing people, you have small business set asides. A lot of times it goes out as simply a request for proposal. I mean, one of the ones that we did was a backpack manufacturing company. That's all they did. They built backpacks, little knapsacks, and little carry around bags and stuff like that.
Clime's a perfect example.
Yeah, how'd you like to build a harness for an injection suit? And they went, okay, we could probably do that. Here's the criteria. These are specs you have to meet. They came back and gave a bid and we said, you have to bring bid. And they've been a very, very successful operation. And nobody would know that this same company was manufacturing injection seat harnesses. They just wear backpacks and slim bags and things like that. And a lot of times it's, given the opportunity, money talks, given the opportunity that they can build something like that and make bread and butter up, but sure, they'll do it. And a lot of times it's like, well, we can't do it in this facility because we're stacked to the ceiling with backpacks, so we're gonna open a little shop out here in Iowa and do it there. Fine.
And that's interesting, because we see some of that out there in the agriculture areas where I'm amazed at how many people out here are doing farm to market stuff, right? They're selling the beef online or they're selling whatever they make online, the honey place, right? With stuff, yeah. There are folks that are being creative with, you know, what they have to work with here. To some degree, yeah.
Here has the advantage also of close to several different recreational locations.
Yep.
Yeah, not an airport, but not too close. You're near Idaho Falls, but not too close. So you still have access to the amenities, and that's what I love. Yes, there's certain places I miss from Salt Lake, but it's like, yeah, I don't want to live in Salt Lake, you know, and so that's also a problem.
I can make nothing.
Next question.
Yeah, next question.
I don't need to remember, right? Exactly. And they're not great.
Yeah.
Eventually, they always do.
Yeah. Okay,
That always be cream.
long-term steward of water rights, open spaces, natural landscape as the area grows.
You know, at one of our first meetings,
Yeah,
one of us talked about how in the community they were living, all of a sudden these trees are getting planted. Because apparently that was part of their criteria, but the developers hadn't done it. And that's a natural resource, natural landscape. How do we make these subdivisions, neighborhoods that are coming in have natural landscape?
We had the opposite in development near us. People planted them, but they planted them in the right of way, which they didn't know about. And so they did all this development, you know, spent the money, and then they were, you know, ticketed, fined, whatever. And so they had
just asked to remove.
well, yeah, I mean, so basically there was the fear factor, and so they're like, all had to remove it, which, you know, I was like, yeah, I think that. And I love in some of the different places I've been, having that tree canopy, having some of that really does affect temperature, it makes it look better. And, you know,
In the parkway, if there's, you know, if it's a development in the parkway, should there be grass, should there be trees, should there be rocks? What do we want?
Yeah. Yeah, we should.
Who waters that, who pays for the water on it?
Well, and if it's inside a subdivision, at this point, the HOA would have to take care, it'd have to be an HOA form, but they would have to pay and take care of this stuff. Yep.
I think we're talking more in a broader sense that in the greater Rigby area, we've got parks within the area. We want to have more green space, maybe more parks, whatever, put in another lake, whatever the case may be. How do we preserve that such that at some point in the future, they'll come in and say, you know what? Fill in the lake and let's put houses there. And to me, I mean, that's restrictive covenants.
Well, they could, if we're talking about expanding recreational areas, then, you know, encourage. I don't know, if somebody's gonna put in, you know, 150 lots or develop 150 acres, you know, instead of putting in a park, you know, donate that 2 acres to the county park and rec department, if they would accept it, right? And let them manage that park, right? So they could put the park in and then donate it to the county, so the county parks and rec department can pay for it. And then some of the impact fees that are collected for parks and rec could help pay for some of that stuff, right? Not the maintenance, but the, you know, stuff that needs to go on in there. So
I think there might be a typo on that one,
the water spout.
not just to check a block,
I think that's what's the box.
should be box. Okay.
Yeah, not chicken parks, yeah. And I was doing a pretty good job making sure that they're not compromised.
so yeah, I feel like it's the niches.
Yeah.
Everybody
True.
who's got their house up to it. Bump them up, that's my branches.
Oh, I'm telling you,
That's been going on since time began.
Exactly.
I noticed that the other day. I was like, wow.
And then it jams everything up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, Sam, I came back from this RV trip, you had a ditch right behind you, went out there and thought, oh, the beavers have moved in, there's a dam in this thing. Yeah. Yeah, all the stuff that's been thrown in there, so.
I guess it's easier to burn if it's in a ditch. Is that the idea? No, it's shipping.
Yeah, you can do that if it's not wet.
I went out there and it's like the water's this high on one side, it's this high on the other side, it's gushing all over the place. I don't think it's gonna get there and start draining,
That's probably don't like to dump gas and all that to get it started.
I mean, it's okay to have it wet with gasoline, van life.
Yeah, yeah, it's just the
Yeah.
gas leak might hurt the crop a little bit. All right, next one. Is that it? You still going, don't mess them up, get it. Okay.
And here's a question on the pivot. The pivots.
Yeah.
Farmers that got pivots, they most likely got a grant to get these pivots.
Yep.
Is there a timeline before they can actually change it and sell it and do a development, or do they have to use the pivots for so many years?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to. Yeah. Yeah, it's USDA.
They've got to pay for the pivot. It's like, oh, well, then I want to do something.
Yeah.
Well, they're getting ready to do something with the pivot down in that trellis area. So somebody must know.
Well, that was been there for lots of years.
Equally, a bunch of grants, they don't always follow what. It's like, oh, you have to,
Oh,
use
yeah,
this way and report and everything. And government's not always great about following up and saying, hey, where is it? Or hey, is it still in use?
Yeah,
So it's a gamble.
we'll have to do a little digging into that. Hey, you still have one more?
I'm done.
Cause there's only 7 on mine.
Well, I have this,
Oh, yeah. Thanks, yeah.
so.
Okay. Okay, answer that one real fast and I'll fill in my math.
I have 3 questions on
Okay,
Thursday.
that's good. No thoughts? Like the metameter, don't like the metameter? What do we got?
I personally think the Mentimeter is great. I think it's actually truly. I also feel like he's some questions at AI and they created large questions. I would simplify it.
Your questions on the top.
No, the
The
4.
responses? Oh, the 4.
Well, that's this. Oh, you mean the question like in the actual slides?
Right.
It's
Every time I sat down and looked at this to try and fill it out, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so comprehensive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, again, I don't know, I like these responses. These are good.
I really like the responses that we read.
Yeah.
Would you guys prefer your names attached to the responses or not? Or keep it
Names.
Oh, man, people are gonna know I'm saying the bad stuff.
No, that's good. It was a lot. That's kind of why we did it as a homework, is so you get everything. So you're right. It wasn't intended to be for this discussion, but since we'd only gotten 2 responses, I thought, well, we better go through this. So, we'll see if we can get a few more. So I appreciate the extra responses. Sage has a question.
Yeah, so
Sage
Just
is
looking at-
can talk.
can you hear me?
All he needs to just turn on his microphone.
I see his little thing moving up and down. Is he unmuted?
Can you guys hear me now?
He's not muted. He's a panelist.
Hello, can you hear me?
Your computer, maybe.
Sage, if you don't have a microphone, type your question in chat.
Is your mic, is your screen?
Well, my microphone's on and on my screen, my name turns green like I'm talking, but apparently you can't hear me.
That's funny, his microphone's moving up and down like he's talking.
I just,
This is Nancy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Nancy.
I can hear you, Sage, but they can't hear us.
Very good, Sage.
Can you hear me now?
Barely.
I can
Is
hear
this
you.
better?
That's a little better.
It's because you're not hooked into this system.
No.
Why not?
I'll get a little closer to my
Could be
microphone.
hooked into this system.
if it's HDMI, you may need to turn the source of the audio. But let's bring it
Comes off of the owl.
out.
How about now? Can
What's
you
your
hear me?
question, Sage? What do you got?
Well, I was just going to add to this last question or deal about accomplishing one thing through this plan. And for me, all these ideas are great, but I don't think a lot of them really matter if we don't put together a system of accountability on how we enforce these rules. You know, we said something about not just checking a block. And we put these things in place, and that's exactly what, you know, we discussed in previous meetings, that these guys will just go through and they'll check all their boxes for the requirements, they'll cash their checks and move on. But long term, how do we continue to hold these people accountable, even in the way of impact fees? You know, impact fees are kind of a one-time deal, and if we're requiring these people to implement things that are going to create long-term expenses, you know, the parks, they donate them to the county or whatever, then it's a continual expense for the county or the city or whoever. I think those things need to be considered, that it's not just a one and done with a lot of these, and we need to figure out how to continually enforce or hold these developers or whoever accountable for the impacts of these developments. Does that make sense?
Did you hear that, man?
Yep. Yep, accountability, yep.
Would that be something like putting money in the escrow or something to enforce that?
In order to help fund the maintenance costs. Yeah, I mean, those are all ideas. Again, it would just, I think if we're gonna add in the parks or add in the park to the system, you know, they're gonna have to decide whether or not they can afford that, right? And so right now, Parks and Recs is doing really, really well, and they are self-funded. And so the funds that they raise out of the lake with all the events that they're doing, and then now with the, you know, they've taken over all the community sports, I think. And so, right, like the Little League baseball and basketball and those sports, and they've expanded the park. One of the commissioners, I think Hancock, donated another 7 acres to the school district, or so it can be added to the county park out there, and they're building baseball stuff out there. And so, and then Parks and Rec is running all of that. So where they were a one-man show when I started, I think they now have 3 or 4 people in that department. And again, it's self-funded. It's like us, we're self-funded. Building department is self-funded. And so they're not using taxpayer money to run that Parks and Rec department. It's coming from impact fees, and it's coming from fees raised for events that they do. So that's a good thing. So they're gonna expand what they can handle, right? If they can handle another 2 acre, because we talked to them about taking over some of these existing parks that are out there in. At the time, they weren't set up for it. As we get further down the road, they may be more inclined to take on those parks and use those points. So
This is the county or the city?
county, yeah, it's county, yeah.
So I have this question, and then this question. Are you gonna do it tonight, or?
No, let's go ahead and close this up, and let's get back to, we'll put all this stuff together. We'll put all these thoughts together. we'll plug them into AI for you. And get a
Get
response.
a big paragraph.
A big, lots of paragraphs. I'm gonna take over your share. And I just wanna show you this. If I can get it to come out. Right here. No, not that one. Don't look at that one. That's false. We're trying to figure out what happened to that one. But the parcels that are colored in brown, allegedly have structures on them. We know, I say allegedly because we know there's a bunch out here in Palisades that have structures on them, but for some reason didn't pick it up. And so we're gonna have to talk to the GIS guy, and even some of these, you see these little dots out here. There may be structures on some of these parcels that we missed. And so we gotta figure out with GIS what caused this problem, but the ones that are green are supposed to be ones that are not built on. And then when we pulled the data, when we tried to count these lots, the number was all screwy, so.
I like that though.
Yeah, we're getting closer. So yeah, like Red Fox out here, there's 240 lots. You go down here to Teton, there's probably 130-ish down here. Oh, this is Mill Creek. So Mill Creek is about 35 or 40 lots, something like that. Palisades is that industrial park. There's most of these lots right in here are full. These ones are still vacant.
And that area you call Palisades?
Yeah, Palisades.
Industrial right off 20.
Yep. Mhm. Yep. This is Pepperwood here. So some of the vacant lots out here in Pepperwood. Oh, this is Stone Ridge? Oh, yeah, that's Stone Ridge. That's a new 32 lot, 1 acre, 1 acre subdivision. There's probably a half a dozen or so building permits in here, I think, something like that. Pineview Estates also has houses out here. So you've missed those. So I'm not sure where the data needs to be updated to catch all of those, but Pineview right there. So, and then this is Stillwater out here. That's what I said, Saddle Hill. It's close to the same developer, right?
Started with S.
Yeah, it started with this.
So
So,
talking to your wife sometime. All your mistakes.
yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that. Okay, very good. So that gives you an idea of what's out there in the
So,
greater Rigby area.
In general, Joe, I'd like to pull that up.
Not yet. Not yet. This is on the backside. Let me see if I can get this perfected, and then I'll ask them if they'll put it on. And what they'll do is we have on the planning page, we have no, it's not on the planning page, it's on the GIS page. On this parcel finder map, we'll ask them to put it on there, under that map. And so there should be a layer, we would add a layer in here that would show that. So we'll make sure that they can get it accurate first. So if this inaccuracy probably has a lot to do with the inaccuracy on that other page, where they tried to count on. It didn't come up right, so.
All those brown houses, lots. It's like, where are those kids going to school?
They're going to school out here, right behind.
Look at all the modular housing they have out there.
They're all homeschooled, 15 or 16, right? Well, yeah, especially with this new state program, right? Where you get 6,000 or 7,000 per kid to homeschool.
Is that what you get?
Yeah.
I just wish I had more kids. All mine grew well. All the tax breaks are gone. That's fine. I gotta work.
I know.
Well, the last one moved out and got out of college, first thing you know, this is your water bill, your trash bill, your electric bill, your gas bill drop like a rock. Yeah.
Your milk bill.
Yep.
I was buying 4 gallons of wheat.
Wow. Wow.
Hey, does anybody here get the post register? Did anybody get the push release?
I mean, yeah,
Okay, well, I was just showing you Tuesday last week. Front page article. Water shortfall triggers curtailment order for East Lake Plain fossil fuel users. That's Tuesday.
yeah, we talked about that with the bulldozer.
Wednesday, East Idaho mountains are bare. Snowpack is the worst ever recorded in a brutal summer of water shortages, agros and non-farmers. I know we have ag. And they told us our water's getting cut out middle of July when it usually goes for October.
Yeah,
We're
So,
looking at mid-June, or latest, late June.
We've been here before though.
And for mine, it's their prediction, it's the worst.
yeah, but if
25 years ago, we used to run out of water every July.
yeah, the report talked about it a little bit this morning, so. But they were strangely optimistic, but. Cause they look at the reservoirs levels and whatever, but. Yeah,
We add that to the comprehensive plan.
strangely
We
optimistic.
have no additional water.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
No, I think what we do need to add to the comprehensive plan though is hire somebody to go around and watch all these people water in the middle of the day when the wind's blowing.
For the people who are watering there.
Because the state doesn't care,
Lots.
well, the state IDWR's had that rule for years.
but they don't care.
They never check it.
Nope, I've called in complaints and they don't do anything about
They
it.
have policy that you don't water when the wind's blowing.
No, they have a policy of overuse of water.
And the Idaho water law is basically irrigating your landscape is up to 1.
Half.
Or sorry, yeah, right, half acre, is what I was saying, yeah, half acre.
Yep. Cause I don't want a half acre, I hear you.
And to make up for my water all the time. Right, yeah, if they're doing, I'm gonna do it.
Yep, all right, man.
Well, it's the best time to water anyways.
So we can meet again on, June 8th? You okay with that? And we'll see how quickly we can get these turned around, these comments from tonight. Yeah, June 8th is Monday, we'll go back to Monday nights. This was the on the week.
We'll call Dana just to make sure. I don't want to be-
Yeah, you go back and get some pizza to take with you.
We adjourned so I can stop that.
Yep, we're done, we adjourn.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, thanks.
1948.
48.